I grew up on the East Coast and spent my entire life there through college. Left and went to Texas and loved that Texas spirit. I began to really delve into that Western spirit. Ultimately went back to Washington, D.C. for several years, met my husband and moved to Southern California in the late 1990s. We began to feel restless as our children were born and wanted to leave California. We thought about going back east, spent a little time in North Carolina, went to Telluride, Colorado, which was a very magical place. And once you delve into and live in the Intermountain West, in the Rocky Mountains, it's a very difficult process to leave. You don't want to leave. Your heart and soul are there in the Rocky Mountains. In 2009, we were given an opportunity. My husband was offered a position in Bozeman, Montana. And we went to visit. And I'll never forget driving into town. We crested this hill, and the Gallatin Valley it just kind of flows out from underneath this hill, and the Bridger Mountain Range is off on the eastern side of the valley, and it was right around the 4th of July. And to look out over that valley, you could see different fireworks settings coming up from this valley. I mean, we could probably see for a 100-mile radius. It was just amazing. It was clear, it was green, and just the different fireworks coming up all around the valley, sitting on top of this hill, was pretty spectacular. What really spoke to me, though, is when we drove downtown Bozeman. My undergraduate degree is in historic preservation, and the town of Bozeman has done a phenomenal job of protecting their downtown corridor. The historic buildings, and we still see a lot of renovation going on downtown just to maintain that historic integrity. But it was walking downtown in the first 15 minutes, looking at the commitment that the town had made to the heart and soul of that area, that I turned and looked and said, "We're coming." In 2017, 18, and 19, Bozeman was the fastest growing micropolitan in the U.S., a micropolitan being over 50,000 people. 2020 COVID hit, and we all took a reprieve and sat back for about 2 weeks wondering, what's happening in our world. Then the floodgates opened. And if people had a second home already in Montana, they had ever vacationed in Montana, could spell Montana, or their children had watched Hannah Montana, Montana all of a sudden became of interest. We now call open space, or we call space the new luxury. We've obviously had many factors and situations going on in our environment where people want space. They want to be able to breathe, they want to be able to move, they want to get outdoors, and they want to enjoy those natural resources, whether it's hiking, biking, climbing, skiing. I mean, in southwestern Montana, we have 2 fabulous ski resorts. We have our local ski resort, which is Bridger Bowl, which is about 2,000 acres of skiable terrain. And then we have Big Sky, which is about 5,500 acres of skiable terrain. We have fishing. I mean, we have world-class fly fishing. We have some fabulous caves near us for people that like to go caving. We're really at this epicenter in southwestern Montana with a tremendous amount of natural resources. So whatever your passion is it camping, biking, climbing, whatever it is, we can pretty much accommodate it. We have all 4 seasons. Not every place does. When I lived in Southern California, we missed all 4 seasons. Yes, we have snow, and yes, it gets cold in the winter. It also keeps the termites away because it gets cold. So we do have all 4 seasons, but many people in Montana, the analogy is, well, look, if it's going to be cold, let's at least enjoy it. So we are outdoor and as active in the winter, skiing, whether it's downhill skiing or cross-country skiing or ice climbing or snowshoeing. We're as active in the winter as we are in the summer. We also, unique to southwestern Montana, we also average about 325 days of sun a year. Now, we may get a foot of snow in the morning, and it's crystal clear and blue by noon or 1 p.m., or vice versa. But sun is a great healer and support of the soul. Even in the wintertime, to have that blinding and blazing sun coming through your windows is fantastic. Bozeman in particular has the largest university in the state, Montana State University, so that's a big draw. It is an ag school. It has a great business department. And a lot of high tech is coming out of Bozeman as well. So we have great weather, we have great natural resources, a phenomenal university, a very diversified economy, and we also have the busiest airport in the state. So that allows that connectivity. So if families are moving there from the Bay Area, if one or both spouses need connectivity for work, they have it. You know, I can be in Mexico within about 4 hours, I can be in Atlanta, I can be in New York, and I can be in the Bay Area very quickly. There are other beautiful places around the country, but southwestern Montana in particular covers a lot of those factors that people need. Many folks living in high-density urban areas, like a San Francisco, are just looking to escape many of those constraints and just live life open and large in wide open spaces. So it's very interesting when I go through the qualification process of folks, again, whether it's from the Bay Area, maybe Southern California, Seattle, Portland, we do have a large draw from the West Coast. And yet we have a huge draw from the southeastern part of the United States. But one of the first things I always want to do is qualify someone. What are they looking for? What do they want their real estate to do for them? I have the fortunate privilege of I'm always meeting people at a crossroads. Never have I had someone walk into my shop and say, hey, PollyAnna, I've just got a wheelbarrow full of money and a boatload of time and let's go buy real estate. That's not how it works. They're at some crossroads. It might be a marriage or a divorce, a death, birth, raising kids. They're being relocated. They're upsizing. They're downsizing. They're retiring. I mean, Bozeman and southwestern Montana are great for an active lifestyle for all age groups. Whether you're 8 months to 80 years of age, it is a phenomenal place to live. We are ranked just as high in great places to live for young families to people with dogs to retirees. I mean, we accommodate a mix of a lot of different desires. Okay. Let's put out on the table what everyone's looking for, what everyone's interests are. Do they have children? What are their children's interests? Maybe you want to live on this side of town because you're closer to the hockey rink. Maybe you want to live on this side of town because it's closer to climbing facilities on two different ends of town. Maybe Big Sky is a real passion for you, so you're going to live a little bit further south in the county before the canyon that goes into Big Sky. Maybe you're into horses and you need an equestrian property. They're all different types. So, contrary to popular belief, we do not all live on ranches. I jokingly say I'm in the process of building a house on an acre piece of property, and I'm overwhelmed with an acre. Yet there are some people that are looking for, they want to be right downtown. Much like San Francisco, we have a great downtown vibe and culture. Some people want to have access to all the natural resources, but they also want to be able to walk or bike to restaurants and museums and different events. And you can do that in town Bozeman. For instance, I have a wonderful, gorgeous detached condominium downtown, right downtown. You can walk right down to Main Street from it. Gorgeously designed. But no, it's not a ranch. You may move out, maybe want to be a little bit more in the suburbs, and you want a neighborhood because you have children and you want them to be able to bike and walk and go to the park with other kids. And that's great, and we can accommodate that. Maybe you want to take a little bit step out, and we have some beautiful communities that maybe the parcels are somewhere between an acre to 2 acres, have lovely custom homes. The HOAs maintain a lot of the open space. They may hay the open space depending upon how much there is. You get to enjoy the beauty without all the maintenance that's associated with having more than an acre or two. But then maybe you're the consumer that wants maybe 5 to 20 acres because you do have a horse or two, and you want to be able to accommodate them on the property. After that, yes, we do move to larger ranches, and we do sell and represent those properties all the time. And maybe they're 100 acres to a couple of thousand acres. But there's also a real niche in what we call the ranchette. Just 13 miles north of Livingston is the reserve at Willow Creek. And when we talk about and we look at that term ranchette, the reserve at Willow Creek really fits that mold. It was originally 5 160-acre parcels. One has been sold, there are 4 remaining, where you can build and play John Dutton on your own and build your own Yellowstone, what we're going to call a ranchette. It's not thousands of acres. They're approximately 157 to 160 acre parcels that have, depending upon where they're located, they may have water running through them, and they all have access to state land and national forest access as well. So again, whether you are an avid hiker and conservationist, whether you're an avid hunter, you have access to those lands off your 160 acre parcel. A property we also discussed, or that I want to mention, is the Side by Side Ranch. Now that's north of Bozeman. And those are about 9 iconic parcels, anywhere from, I think the smallest is about 68 acres, to one that has 188 acres. Again, you can build your own compound on those properties, enjoying Dry Creek, which has been rehabilitated in conjunction with Trout Unlimited to help preserve and create great spawning facilities for trout in that creek. And the views, the 360-degree views from the Bridger Mountain Range to west of Bozeman, the Tobacco Root Mountains, the views are 360-degree views and just iconic. So whether it might be the reserve at Willow Creek or the Side by Side Ranch, we can offer both of those ranchette type settings for someone to look to build their legacy property for their family. When I think of southwestern Montana, there are 4 or 5 key places that immediately come to mind. They're all within about 45 minutes of each other, and they're all dramatically different and breathtaking in their own space. So you have Bozeman, that's going to be more of your everyday university college town with an airport, and I always joke, I said, we have Costco, Target, and Walmart. Then you have, just to the east of us, you have Livingston. And Livingston is the home of Paradise Valley, where if you happen to watch the show Yellowstone with Kevin Costner, that is the valley where that story takes place. We're fortunate now that it is all being filmed in Montana, but in the story of Yellowstone, that is where that takes place, is in Paradise Valley. If you've never seen a double or a triple rainbow, that is the home of double and triple rainbows. I mean, it is just breathtaking. But as you continue south through Paradise Valley, you enter Gardner, and then you enter the historic and iconic Roosevelt Arch into Yellowstone National Park, which is an amazing resource that if you have never been to, it has to be on your bucket list to come experience Yellowstone National Park. So you have Livingston and Paradise Valley and the Yellowstone River and Yellowstone National Park to the east of Bozeman. You come back a little bit west of Bozeman. Due south from Bozeman is Big Sky. Now, Bozeman is the home of Bridger Bowl, which is our local ski hill. It has about 2,200 acres of skiable terrain, and you can be there from anywhere in downtown Bozeman within about 15 minutes. Okay? But if you continue south from Bozeman, depending upon where you're coming from, you drive about 45 minutes to an hour, then you're in Big Sky. And Big Sky is the largest ski terrain in the United States. Huge. I mean, I don't even know anyone who could ski it all in one day. It really is a necessity to come visit and stay a while to ski all of Big Sky, and it's 5,500 acres. Southwest of Bozeman is Ennis, Montana. And Ennis is the home. When people think of Ennis, they think of fly fishing. We frequently joke and say it's a fly fishing town with a drinking problem, or a drinking town with a fly fishing problem. And Ennis is the home of the Madison River Valley, and another iconic fly fishing river and phenomenal resource. So if you look at Bozeman as your hub, anywhere from 30 to about 45 minutes to an hour in all directions, you've got an incredibly different, unique, and authentic offering, and they're all very different from each other. If you go due west from Bozeman, you're going to hit Butte. And Butte, Montana, I have some sort of special place in my heart for Butte, Montana. If you've never been, the history and lore of Butte and the role that Butte had in the development of Montana, but even the development of our country back at the turn of the century, the late 1800s, early 1900s, Butte was one of the first 5 cities to have electricity. Most people don't know that. A lot of that history has gone by the wayside. But again, it had to do with the development of the mines in the area that was drawing attention to Butte. It had to do with the incredible natural resources that fortunately President Roosevelt stepped in and really helped preserve through the development of the National Forest Service. Just the history and the lore of Butte is fairly spectacular. You have to make a stop in Butte when you come to southwestern Montana. We have a little bit of everything for everybody. If the opera, if the symphony is your thing, we have that. If you have a daughter that dances in ballet, we have the Montana Ballet Company. If you have children like mine that were avid hockey players, we have the Bozeman Amateur Hockey Association. If you're into rock climbing, ice climbing, and just fly fishing every afternoon, we have that. So again, you get to engage with the land and with the community as much as you want to.